So this is the process which you can follow to connect your own domains on SaleGen. This works if you don't have a domain. This works if you have a domain which is already connected to some site. This works if you have a domain which is not connected to any website. So basically this works for everyone. Anyways, the first scenario is you don't have a domain, and if that's the case, you simply come to your SaleGen account. This is what it probably looks like on the dashboard. You go to settings over here in the bottom left corner of your screen. You click on this, and if you scroll down, you're gonna find this section called domains. You simply come over here and you click on purchase a domain. Like, this is one of the most affordable options, and it's pretty good. Like, everything is nice and simple. Obviously you can use any domain provider to purchase a domain for yourself. Like, you can use Hostinger, GoDaddy, Google Domains, Cloudflare, all of these different service providers like Namecheap as well. But like, that's totally cool, nothing wrong with it. But because that's not a native platform, you have to integrate it. Like, I'll show you how to do it using Hostinger and other platforms as well. That's totally cool. If you have a domain already with those service providers, that works. But obviously this is like a native domain provider, so everything over here will be already set up because we are purchasing the domains from your behalf, which means you don't have to do any complex setup. So if you don't have a domain, just search the name of the company or your name, whatever you want to buy the domain for. For example, I want to buy for SaleGen, let's say, the name of the software. You just click on search and you can just simply buy it. Like, SaleGen.org, I think .com is taken, so even this works. Whatever your domain is, just simply search it up, click on buy, and it's a very easy and a simple process. You can see all the pricing, full transparency, no hidden costs. So that is what you do if you don't have a domain and you want to purchase one. Anyways, you might be wondering, okay, Somil, that's cool, but if I already have a domain, what am I supposed to do then? Now, there are two scenarios in this case. What might happen is you have a domain which is connected to some other website already. Let's say you already have a website. Let's say your domain is www.business.com and you have a main website already which was built using some other platform before you started using SaleGen, and basically your domain is connected to something else. If that's the case, you have to connect a subdomain. Obviously, you can connect your main domain as well. For example, let's say sawmill.com is my main domain. If that is already connected to a website, then I cannot connect it to something else, because how a domain connects to something else is basically a quick demonstration in case you're wondering how exactly this works. Basically, let's say this is point A and let's say this is point B. Now, whenever you enter some records, whenever you connect a domain, you're basically like, why is this not working? Why is my Miro not working? Miro is dead. Basically, whenever you, yeah, it's working now. Whenever you connect a domain, whenever you add any form of records, you're telling the domain, okay, this is where the domain is at currently, and you just tell the domain, is it supposed to go in this direction? Is it supposed to go here? Is it supposed to go here? So if the domain is already pointing at point A, how can it point at point B? Like, it can only point towards one thing, and if it's already pointing towards your own existing website, you cannot force it to redirect here and here as well. That's like if someone, like, let's say someone is in USA, he cannot move towards north and end up in Antarctica. Like, both of them are in completely opposite directions, and that's the point I'm trying to convey. Like, if you have already connected your domain to something, like you already have a website or a funnel, and you try to connect it over here, then it was already pointing towards this, And now you're telling it has to point towards this as well. That's not logically possible, right? Like, I can only walk in one direction. I cannot walk in two different opposite directions at the same time. So, in this case, what we do is we tell the domain that, okay, this is cool, like, you're pointing towards this thing currently, and we want to point towards this thing. So, what we can do is we can like create a fake domain. Like, let's say I am Somil and I have a twin of mine. Now he looks like Somil. Let's say I have some business in Antarctica and I currently am in US. I have to be in a meeting in the US. I can tell the twin of Somil to go to Antarctica. Obviously, it won't be exactly the same as me going there, but it's almost good enough that it does the job pretty well. Obviously, you can just buy a new domain and you can connect that. But in case you want to use your existing domain at two different places, you can use a subdomain. What is a subdomain? For example, if you see over here, like this is app.sawmill.com. My main domain is sawmill.com. If that was connected, only sawmill.com would be visible. This app, like basically whatever I add before the name of my domain, for example, app.sawmill.com, for example, SaleGen.sawmill.com, all these things are basically subdomains. Like SaleGen is a subdomain. And so basically what I'm saying is if you've already connected your existing domain to another website, you have to add and use a subdomain. I know like I gave a slightly longer explanation, but it's much better you actually understand what we're doing because then it makes much more sense. So if you want to connect your subdomain, it's actually pretty simple. You just simply go to settings, like once again, you go to settings at the bottom left corner, you go to domains and you click on connect a domain. Now, whatever your domain is, let's say sawmill.com, you simply add it over here and now the magic is like whatever subdomain you want to add, you have to think of it like what would be appropriate. For example, let's say you have a digital marketing agency and the name is like let's say digital media house, something like that. And you want to connect a domain for a website which promotes like let's say SEO. So I can be like seo.sawmill.com. In this case, let's say I want to use it for what do I want to use it for? Let's say I want to use it for selling something related to automations. So I can be like automation.sawmill.com. Like you can put anything. You can put multiple things. Like this is your domain. Before this, like before this dot thing, you can add unlimited things. You can add automation.ai.sawmill.com. That perfectly works fine as well. Like I'm just going to remove that. So let's say the subdomain which you are connecting is automation.sawmill.com. You simply come over here, click on continue, and now it will try to connect the domain automatically. And if it can do it, that depends on your domain provider. For example, GoDaddy, you can just press one button, authorize the connection, and all the domain like records are added automatically. So that is there over there. If you buy the domain from SaleGen platform, that is over there as well. In most cases, what is probably going to happen if your domain providers do not provide us permission to do it automatically, you might have to add some records manually, but it takes like a couple of minutes max. So just click on continue and just wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah. So now these are basically all the records I have to add. There is going to be a record type. You simply go to your domain provider and there is going to be like different types of records over here. So I just have to see what type of a record is it. So it's like CNAME over here. So I select this. What is the host? And the names and all might differ slightly. Like host is basically the name. For example, the value is where should it point to. So that is going to be the target. You just paste it. Like simply click on this button and just paste it and click on add record. and boom, it should be done, hopefully. So it might take some time to see the changes happen, but yeah, that gets the job done. You can also watch the help video on YouTube too. Woo. And if you already have a funnel, you can just simply click on the funnel from here and add it automatically. You can also set a default error page, like let's say someone puts in the wrong domain, and basically if some error happens, where do they end up at? And you can add it to funnels, stores, like if you have an e-commerce store, blogs, whatever. And in this case, I'm just gonna add it later. So you can just click on proceed to finish. Now, this was me adding a subdomain, but sawmill.com was already connected. Like, I just had to add a subdomain. Now, you might be curious, okay, Sawmill, that's cool and all, but how do I connect a main domain? Like, I've not connected my domain anywhere else, and I just want to connect my root domain. That is a very similar process, just a couple of extra steps. You simply once again come back to settings, you go to domains once again, you click on connect a domain, and you just type the domain in. So let's say this is the domain I want to connect, and you can select this. I like to do it manually, for some reason it works better. Like, you just type in the name of your domain and click on continue, and then you find your domain from here. If you've never connected your domain anywhere else, like, I'll just show you that in the end. That's much better. And see, it has a conflict because, like, I'll just reset all the records and then show you what it looks like. Like, if you've not connected the domain anywhere else, this is what the thing will look like for you. Like, this is basically the factory version of the domain. I had already added records. This is what happens by default, and like, i just I'll just remove it once again. Let's say this. So this is basically like you bought a new domain and you want to connect it. What's this issue? Why is it showing again and again? Like, I reset the record, right? I think it's just because like the DNS records are not propagated yet. It takes like a couple of minutes. See, 5 minutes. Yeah. So now it's done. And basically, whatever records you see over here, you just have to add them. Like, for example, I see C name www. Like, I'll just copy it and just go over here and select like C name, boom, www, the value, and just copy it. If you see this error, this is a very common one. This is because this domain is already pointing to this place, but we don't want that. So we can just simply come over here and delete it, and now it should be good to go. Yeah, click on add record, verify records. I hope the records are propagated and it actually works this time. Yeah. So basically, I've added this domain somewhere else, and I don't have a domain which is not connected anywhere else. But this is what the process is like. Sometimes you might have different types of domains you have to add. For example, like a domain as well, all of that stuff. And if that's the case, just follow the instructions. One problem you might face is it might say like cannot find this record pointing to that over here once you click on verify records. And the simplest way to fix it is firstly delete the existing CNAME record and add this one, which will be shown over here. And you can just simply like click on auto configure if you have a domain provider which allows that, or you can buy one from SaleGen, like that configures everything automatically. But the other step is SaleGen will give you another a record. A record is basically like where the domain should point to, like the record. Basically think of it like your address. Like if I put this thing in Google Maps, like where should my car end up at? And if you have a Google Maps on, and like it cannot be possible like you want to go to Canada in Google Maps, and the car is moving towards let's say South America. That's not possible, right? So similarly you want your domain to point towards SaleGen, and our A record is something like 162, something like that, and this like A record is telling us that we have to move towards like South America when we actually want to go to Canada. So you simply come over here, you click on delete it, and boom, the new A record will be provided to you from SaleGen. I've already connected this domain, so that's why it's not working. Otherwise, it is gonna work. Like, let's say I connect a random domain. Like, what's a random domain? Let's say SaleGen.com. I think that should show you the records. I don't know, like if it will work or not, but it might give you an idea what it will look like for a domain which is not connected yet. I don't know if SaleGen.com is connected or not. Yeah, this is what the record will look like. Like you have this A record, and you come over here, you select A, then you copy this at the rate which is already at the rate, then you click on this, copy this value and paste it over here, add record, and boom, it is going to be added. I don't want to add the domain in this account. Yeah, that's the process of connecting a domain. It's exactly the same as connecting a subdomain. You might have to add like a couple of more records or a couple of less records, but it's pretty simple. Now, troubleshooting is a funny thing. Like everyone has an issue with connecting their domain, but these two fix like 99% of the problems. So the first one is just go and reset the DNS records. Like just go to your domain provider, somewhere along the lines you'll see the button like this, reset DNS records. Just simply click on this and reset all of them, and once that's done, you're pretty much good to go. If you have conflicting records, for example like A record which is pointing to some other place, delete that. If you have a www or like a CNAME record which does not point to this, delete that as well. And yeah, basically this fixes a lot of issues. And the other thing is, I don't know why it happens, at least it works for me. Like let's say I've added the domain and it is showing problem. Like say I've added the domain, I've connected it to my website, but when I try to view the website, like let's say my website is this, like I try to view the website, it's showing the default error page. Like let's say yeah, something like this. Like this is the page which is showing up, and it's showing like error page not found. Then the simplest hack which I found is to simply come over here, click on connect a domain again, and whatever domain you added, let's say it was salegen.com, you simply come over here and click on www.salegen.com and follow the instructions and add this domain as well as you did previously. Do not remove the existing domains, anything, and just try your website out. Like whatever website you have, let's say this is the website, and it's like a vice versa thing. Basically, like let's say you type in this and this was not working, then I'll type www.salegen.com, and if this is what I typed and this was not working, I'll remove the www. I don't know how it works, but it always works. And yeah, that's like, yeah, basically it just works, and I think that's what actually matters. If you have a subdomain, that works perfectly fine as well. So you can just be like www. Like let's say sawmill.com is your domain, and you want to add the automation subdomain, www.automation.sawmill.com. Click on continue, and boom, like it is gonna work. Either the website, like either it is gonna work with www or without it. Just add both of them for safety purposes, and yeah, that's it. That's all you needed to know to connect domains and connect like any subdomain, any domain. If you don't have a domain, what you need to do. And yeah, that was basically it. If you have any questions, you can just go to the SaleGen community and you can post it over there in problems and solutions chat. The window is gonna be there and we respond pretty fast. So you can just simply do that over here. And if you, yeah, just come here, like attach a small Loom video if possible, something like this. You can attach a link or you can add the video directly. You can attach an image and just briefly explain whatever you're facing and we'll get back to you. Yeah, that was basically it. How you can connect your domains. I hope you have a beautiful, fantastic day ahead. Take care, man.